Well, hi, everybody, and welcome back for more fun with Basic Astrology. You know, my joy as an artist and an astrologer, I just love to get my hands on to the wheel to help reinforce placement. Nothing replaces going outside and actually stargazing and seeing the wonder of the heavens. When we look at an astrological wheel, the moment of our birth, it's usually in a flat, still image with lots of information. So, a lot of what I'm doing here with creating these short videos on basic astrology is to help those who want to enter this language softly and gently, especially if you are like me, a keeper of the wheel, someone who can just stare at astrology aspects and try and read into what is that cosmic portrait offering the soul on this particular journey. All right, let's go have some fun. I wanted to remind you how we began with a center in the point of a piece of paper, okay? And then dividing it into 12 segments. And I will just go ahead and reinforce this is what they call the spirit or the cross of spirit and matter. So, this vertical line going down, this is spirit descending. And then the horizontal bar is matter. So, spirit coming down into matter. Okay, so here the horizon, spirit, or spirit coming up. So, this cross of spirit and matter, ascendant, descendant, midheaven, and nadir. Okay, these are the four critical angles or points on a birth chart. I mean, there is more, but when we look at how to start creating, what journey are we hanging on this cross of spirit and matter? And then from there, we segmented our beautiful wheel into 12 sections to basically replicate the 12 zodiac signs. Okay, and then from there, this is the fun and joy. Let's see, I'm going to place this here because in astrology, it's a good primer. We start at the ascendant and work with the energy of Aries, the first house of Aries. And then we go into the earth house, air, and water. And so it goes around. So if you are new to astrology, just know that there's three qualities of fire energy. Fire is not the same. There's cardinal fire, there's fixed fire, then there's mutable fire. Each of these layers in the language of the stars just adds a kind of a little bit more to the wardrobe. And so we can say the same thing. We go cardinal fixed, fixed earth, mutable earth, cardinal earth, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. So a good test would be looking at the opposites. So then we went and we added the little visual glyphs. These really aren't glyphs. These are more like the visual signs of the houses. Okay, so the first house carries Aries, the ram energy. Taurus carries the second house of the bull. Gemini represented with yellow for air, offering the air and mutability of air, early learning. And then, of course, we move into water, fire, earth, air, water with Cancer. These first four are the personal houses. So it's the soul working on itself personally. And then the next four houses, it's working on socializing with the other. So we have Leo, the performer, with the other. We have Virgo wanting to help the other with analysis and health and the dietary day-to-day habits. Then we have Libra, engaged with the divine other in union. And we have Scorpio working with deeply transformative and powerful energies of the other people's money, real estate. Oftentimes, Scorpio can be reflecting the sign of someone who goes into surgery, so helping the other. And then the last four houses carry the signature of the transpersonal houses. So the house energy for house 9 is Sagittarian. This again is the mutable fire. The sea goat, Capricorn, carrying that cardinal earth. And then here comes Aquarius in the 11th house. So it goes 9, 10, 11, 12. Aquarius, fixed air. Even though it's a water bearer, we see the emotional, carrying the water for the collective. This Aquarian energy is about air. And then Pisces, basically storing up all the lessons on the hero's journey from house 1 through 11. We greet the ocean with Pisces, the 12th house of mutable water. So here's a fun thing to do today. Let's work on those axes of opposites, because when you start learning that and going deeper into the opposites, it helps you learn and remember quickly when we start talking about planetary rulership. Okay, so it's just a game. Let's see if we can have some fun. To start, I've already done watercolor and collaged on Japanese rice paper with some stamping on top of the paper. This is called Distress Oxide. It's a stamp pad by Ranger. And so you can use stamp pads in a lot of different ways. And you'll notice I usually place the sign of infinity on my media so that it can carry the energy of all that is. Kind of a funny thing that I do, but I do believe that you can empower your paints, your water, anything you're using to support and carry the heart's desire for the collective good. All right, which pair do we want to start with first? Well, how about on this side, I put Aries, and opposite Aries, you should know this really quickly, is Libra. All right, so here's Libra, my little stamps. So what I'm going to do is I make a stamp. Here we go. And I am going to place it right here, Aries. There we go. That was easy. So set it aside, knowing that I've already done it. And Libra. So Aries, I am. Opposite of the axis is Libra. We are. Okay, so I was going to remind myself how to do this because I want to have anything above the horizon kind of read towards me. Okay, so Aries, I am. Libra, we are. So it's this idea of if you have your north and south nodes, sometimes the south node in Aries, the past life was all about you learning to be you. But if your north node is in Libra, it's asking you to learn how to be in divine union with another. Okay, so that's why these axial opposites are really important. So when we say opposites, we're just taking a line and moving it through. So everyone, what's the opposite of Taurus? It points right here to Scorpio. So one day I'm going to ask you, okay, who's the planetary ruler for Taurus and what's its opposite, Scorpio? And why does that matter? Because rulership will start having this unique balancing of oppositional energy. The word opposite oftentimes carries a negative connotation. In astrology, for me, it means carrying the thread and wanting you to integrate into the center. So like north and south nodes, the head and tail of the quote unquote dragon, how do we integrate into the center to support our expansion and awareness of who we are. All right, here comes Taurus. I have to get Taurus out and Scorpio. Okay, so we've got, first we had fire and air in opposition. Now we're getting earth and water. Earth and water will always oppose each other. Okay, and I just made these. I mean, I think you can buy these little stamps. And then being a painter, I always have a lot of these wooden keys that help strengthen a canvas. So I just decided that's my little hand. Okay, and Scorpio, other people's money. So where Taurus is saying, this is my bank account, this is my property, this is my money. Oop, did I get a little paint on there? I got to be careful. This Scorpio is saying, oh, let me work with other people's money. Okay, here we go, Scorpio. Thank you very much. So the intensity and powerful transformation of Scorpio as opposed to Taurus. This is Venus energy. This is Pluto. This is very intense. Here, I'll put the polar opposite, the axial, integration of here's mine, here's your money. How do we get into the center? How do we work with resources? So we say money, but it can be all kinds of different resources. So I am, I have. So let's see, what's next? We greet, then Gemini. Gemini, do you know the polar opposite? You should be able to go, oh, yes, I know the opposite. Gemini is opposite Sagittarius. Now, here's an interesting thing. Again, air and fire. Gemini, Sagittarius. I forgot to mention yin and yang. So this is yang, yin, yang. Okay, so anyone opposite will always carry the same energy of this is outward expressing air. This is outward expressing fire, yang. All right, so let's see. Sagittarius is kind of a long word. So let me see. It's the centaur. Placing, there we go. Placing or pulling back the bow and letting it fly. So Gemini, the twins, chitter chatter. I love to learn. Just making sure I've got this correctly. Nice and flat. Here we go. I'm learning. I'm learning by talking about it. I'm learning and chitter chatter, jack of all trades. However, Sagittarius, the arrow has its mark. It is not about staying close to home and early education. This is about finding deeper truths, meaning long distance travel. This sometimes is siblings. This is working out in the world. Remember, I said this is the transpersonal. I'm trying to find truth for the greater good. I'm just learning lots of data. Okay, so its ruler with this ruler. So Jupiter ruling Sag, we'll get more into the details later, but Jupiter opposing Mercury. When you bring them together in the center, imagine being able to expand your communications to focus in and share all that is along with very specific information. All right, so our axis now changes to the crab and the sea goat, which is none other than Capricorn and Cancer. So whenever we land on the 4th and 10th, think of that as the other cardinal point, because Aries and Libra are cardinal. Okay, when you hear the idea of world point, it's the beginning of Aries. It's the beginning of Cancer, the beginning of Libra, the beginning of Capricorn, cardinal energy. Okay, so let's start with Cancer, the mother crab. She likes to carry her back with her. Her home is always with her. This energy likes to remember and talk about the stories from the past, childhood, upbringing. It's ancestral, it's foundation, anchoring in the fourth house of the foundation. So this is I nurture, this is I govern. So I like to stay home. I'm going to go out and create my life in the world, make my mark. You know, this is the sea goat that likes to go step by step and be very successful. Cardinal water, the feeling state, and cardinal earth, and building one step at a time, manifestation. All right, so our wheel spins and we go to the next axis of Leo, fire, fixed fire, Aquarius, fixed air. All right. I perform. I am the artist, says Leo. Moving into Aquarius, we are the group. So this is more the choir singing, and this is the solo performer. One way to think about it. All right, so we go yang, yin, yang, yin, yang. So this axis carries this idea of going and asserting out. All right, so it's little Leo. And I'm going to ink that and place it right here. Leo, the lion, hear me roar. I am, I perform, I want you to be pleased, but it's about me, creation, romance, children. This is networking, my associates by choice. This is your family of frequency, Aquarius. All right, and we're left with the last axis. This is Virgo, earth, and Pisces, water. Both are mutable. Both carry the receptive qualities of the feminine. Okay, so let me move this on. Virgo. Yeah, some of us are double Virgo. Some of us are even triple Virgo. I analyze, but the analysis is in service to the other. Okay, so the best thing you can do to Virgo is thank you. Thank you for your gift of service. And Pisces. So whereas Virgo works in the mundane, earthly world, Pisces carries the richness of everything learned. I dream, I imagine. I'm a little confused in reality, whereas Virgo lives for reality. This is health and wellness. This is, sometimes if it's too much, I numb myself out. All right, well, was that fun? I hope you liked it. I'd like to stop here and just say something about this axis. All right. So putting my ruler down, this is the ascendant, this is the descendant. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Okay, the east, north, west, and then south. All right. So if you bifurcate into this hemisphere, that which is above. You're working on the houses to our interpersonal, for our transpersonal, helping the greater good. All right. So interpersonally, we're coming out above ground and we're going to be getting married. It's a contract held in the public or held within the court system, a contract. Scorpio, real estate deals, other working with other people's money, helping people go from one home to the next, a transformation in life. So these are interpersonal, you and the other. You working with someone, let's say if you're a surgeon, Scorpio, helping your patient on the table. Libra, again, a marriage contract or a business contract. Now, the transpersonal houses of Sagittarius, this again is transpersonal. So this is finding the truth that resonate for the collective. Think Plato, Socrates, the foundation of greater truths. Capricorn, out in the world, the business I set up or the vocation and career I choose from my heart to help add to building out in the world. Aquarius, setting up networks and systems of like-hearted associates, your colleagues, others, setting up a network that will eventually help with communications and helping us go into the future with the network. Pisces, this is, yes, receiving all the information from around the 11 other houses coming here. The drop of water returns to the great ocean. It is transpersonal. Water, air, earth, fire. Water, air. All right. And so if I was to do a little test, can you tell me, is Aquarius carrying yin or yang energy? Is Sagittarius carrying yin or yang energy? So yin, I receive. Yang, I assert. I receive, I assert. It's interesting how the wheel as a cosmic portrait carries both energies. So oftentimes we think in our culture, many cultures, that we have to go out and make it happen, where in truth, you might not be designed to go out. You may be the one to receive and to transmute and to hold space. All right. So I wanted to pause there and share that little bit. I'm going to finish that which is below. So when we look at this half, I'm going to put that in next. This is working on yourself. These are the houses, the stage sets. Imagine life is really, as Shakespeare would say, if all life is a stage, do you know where most of your action will be taking place? What kind of stage set? So the first four, first, second, third, fourth houses are personal houses. The final two here, the fifth and sixth houses, are working with the other. All right, so let's see if you can tell me, if you're brand new to astrology, what goes where? Okay, so let's go back and see. Do you know where Gemini, which house carries Gemini energy? Okay, let's see if you can find it. Which one? Aries, Taurus, Gemini. Gemini is air. Okay, so let me take this off. Here we go, Gemini. Here we go, Aries, the new beginning. Do you know what the second house is? Okay, this is for the newcomers, Aries. And then it moves into Taurus, the bull, Gemini energy. These are the stage sets. What comes after Gemini? Do you remember? It's a water house. Okay. Here's the reveal. It's Cancer. Then after Cancer, who comes next? Do you remember? Okay, let's see if I can do this. All right, it's Leo. And the sixth house, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The sixth house is none other than Virgo. Here we go. So we have all 12 houses. These are the stage sets for how, when we add the planets and we add the asteroids, or later when we add the fixed stars, these 12 stages are really important. When I say stages, I'm really responding more like a stage in a theater. But if you read the great work of Dane Rudger in evolutionary astrology, he can go through the 12 houses with this idea of a new seed growing, maturing, being harvested, seeding, and then passing away. Again, a seed growing, being germinated, growing and harvesting, and then seeding, and then dying. Okay, so we all return in order to get to that next level of experience. The soul is passing through so many different adventures. And the joy really is, how do we stay centered in our own wheel of experiences? Hope you found this fun. I'm going to go finish stamping the rest of my little charts here. You can stay with me if you want. Okay, so there you have it. I've completed my task. I hope you'll join me, because next we're going to look at the wheel and ascribe the planetary rulers for each of the signs to begin working on placing the little picture. And I'm using a stamp pad again called Distress Oxide by Ranger. All right, so here we go. Stamping is a real fun art. Let's go ahead, and I feel like I want to start with Leo. Leo, the lion. Okay, so I've got my stamp. I'm stamping it. And I think I'm just going to put it right here. Okay, done. One and done. Next, I'm going to spin the wheel. That's the fifth house. Let's go ahead and put Virgo in. What do we know about Virgo? You know, she's really committed to service. There we go. Pushing down hard. Here she is. Landing in nicely. Next, we have Libra. Okay, I think I'm going to spin the wheel and just have these, even if the word is upside down. Here we go. There's Libra. Next, we have Scorpio. Libra, the balancing. You know, which way do I go? Let's go both ways. Scorpio, here comes the intensity of the scorpion. Beware the stinger. You know, they're fun until they're not. I understand a lot of times Scorpios love to find other Scorpios so they can feel more understood. Next is Sagittarius, the archer, coming in with greater truths. Capricorn, the sea goat. There we go. Let's just go ahead and I know they're upside down, but there's the sea goat. And Aquarius, the water bear. There we go. Pisces, the fish. Yeah, I could probably watch my placement. Here we go. The two fish swimming in opposite directions oftentimes. Aries, the ram. Me first, thank you very much. Out of my way. Here we go. Sometimes we need that energy of let's just go pioneer. Let's go do it. And sometimes, like Taurus, we need to stay home and just enjoy. And sometimes we need someone to talk to and just chat about all things. Hey, did you hear this? Did you hear that? And the last one we have is Cancer. Where is our home? What home are you carrying on your back? There we go. Let me spin my wheel. I like to bring it back to Aries. Here we are. All right. Well, that was fun. I just like to associate the word with the archetypal imagery. Pretty soon, my plan is to bring out the constellations of the stars. So right now we're working with the earth and the sun. But when we start moving out further into space, we're going to start working with some of the stars, the heavenly stars that the ancients would work with in Mesopotamia, Babylon, and Sumeria. So that's for later. I hope you've enjoyed this little romp. Keep yourself learning, keep it fresh. Even if you think you already know astrology, it's interesting because when we start talking about oppositions or trines or sextiles or squares, do you know the astrology wheel well enough to understand quickly what would a trine look like? And what are the three dance partners when we start talking about a trine? When we start talking about the planetary rulers, do you know about the four essential dignities? Which of the 12 houses will a planet feel most at home? Will it rule? Will it fall? Will it be in detriment? Will it be exalted? So those are the fun kinds of nuances that come in learning the language of astrology. It is visual as much as it is rote memorization. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope to see you soon. Take care, everybody, and see you next time on the Ascension Playground.